picture's worth 1,000 words. Okay, well, images may not hold the exact same weight as text does in the search engines, but having good images alongside your content is definitely growing in importance. Chances are there's at least one image on every single page of your website, or at least there should be, because high quality images and photos make your web pages more attractive and engaging. So why is image optimization so important? Well, first of all, image searches continue to rise year after year. The more we continue to move forward in this ever-increasing digital world, the more impact visuals have, especially when almost 14% of all Google searches are image related. These results are known as image pack results, and that number will only continue to grow steadily year after year. Image optimization can be a powerful SEO tactic when used properly, but finding well-crafted images to pop into your blog posts is only the first step. See, search engine bots still cannot read images, even with all of Google's knowledge and how far we've come since 1999. And by the way, we have made a lot of progress over the last few years with the boom in internet and smartphone usage. However, search engine crawlers still are unable to accurately identify the contents within an image. So they rely on an image's alt text to know what the image is and how it relates to your content or web page. So without optimizing your images for SEO, you're really missing out on bringing in extra visitors who may have otherwise found your content in the search results. Also, image optimization is keyword optimization. If you're truly serious about being well optimized for your keywords as humanly possible, then image optimization is important for you. Think of it as leaving no stone unturned. Every single piece of content that you create and upload should be optimized for maximum visibility within the search engines. So now let's talk about some of the benefits of image optimization. First of all, you want to make most of all the assets that you have. Premium stock photos, talented photographers, and high-end digital cameras don't come cheap. So if you've spent time and money on getting high-quality images for your blog or website, but you haven't taken the time to optimize them, then you're basically just throwing away a really valuable asset. See, proper image optimization also reduces site speed. So beyond increasing your visibility in the search engines, reducing image file sizes also helps to reduce your page load times. And if you didn't know by now, site speed is a ranking factor. The larger your image files are, the more time it will take to load your web pages. And the longer it takes to load your web pages, the higher your bounce rate will be because visitors will simply get impatient and they'll leave, and thus you won't rank as high. Remember, you only have about 7 to 10 seconds to make a good first impression online. I know that's harsh, but that is the reality of the world that we're living in. If it takes more than 12 seconds to load your webpage, chances are you've probably lost a good portion of your visitors. Also, having proper image optimization also helps improve user experience. First of all, mobile users are steadily on the rise. Back in 2015, Google announced that there was more mobile searches than desktop across 10 different countries, including the US and Japan. However, even with all the improvements that have been made with smartphones over the recent years, it still takes us longer to download data to our mobile phones than it does to a desktop computer. And the most important thing to take away from that is that if we know that load page times are critical, and we know that mobile devices take longer for pages to load, then we also should know that image optimization is crucial for both now and the future, because we need to cut down on that load time if we hope to improve how long visitors are staying on our site and thus increasing our rankings, right? Because, by the way, just in case you guys didn't know this, how long someone stays on your website is one of the biggest ranking factors right now. I know that may seem a little counterintuitive to most of you. However, Google's really made a lot of changes over the last year or two, and now they really are ranking sites based on popularity and how much time people are spending on that website. So that's why we have to do everything in our power to make our websites quick, that they're loading really fast, and that there's no reason for people to bounce away. Like if they came for the topic, if they came for us, if we have a social media site and they came to us for social media help, then they should be sticking around for a while and getting the information that they're looking for. And if they're not, we're not doing something right. So proper image optimization creates a lot of opportunities for our businesses, including faster loading times, providing a better user experience, also giving you more opportunities to rank within the search engines for both image and organic web results. Also, images help us convey a message. So good images can really spice up our content and help our readers better understand the message that we're trying to convey. The right image can make that 1,000-word blog post feel a lot more exciting and engaging. And also adding images to your articles will also help you illustrate your point in a more stimulating way. And as we continue to move forward in this digital age, more and more people like to learn things visually instead of just through text, right? That can get a little boring and dull. So it can also help create a better social experience as well when you're creating social posts. Having really rich, engaging, bright visuals can stimulate people to share more and want to follow you to get more great content like that. And I do recommend that for every 500 words, you add a good quality image to your post, and that'll make it a lot more enjoyable to scan through. And hopefully it will help keep people on your website longer as well. So not only will it make your website more appealing, you'll also improve your overall SEO, and it will lead to more people visiting your site, people staying on your site longer, and getting more social followers as well. So good images are that important. The other thing that I want to note is that good images can help you connect with your audience on an emotional level, which a lot of people I don't think about enough. But at the end of the day, worst case scenario, people still buy from people, right? And so anything that will help you make a closer human connection with your audience is something that will help you lead to a conversion. So if you really want to leave a lasting impression on your audience, you will have to connect with them on some emotional level. They will enjoy liking and commenting on images that are visually and emotionally stimulating, right? So, by nature, people tend to respond better to what they see compared to other forms of stimulation like reading or maybe even just what they're hearing, right? So if your audience is moved by your content, then they'll associate those same sentiments with your brand and thus be inspired to trust you and follow you more closely, right? So those are the real major benefits of image optimization. All right, so now let's dive into actually the elements that make up image SEO. Okay, so these are the things that you will actually be changing in order to optimize your images for the search engine. So first of all, you're going to be optimizing the image file name, which if you don't know, that's basically what you save, when you save a photo or an image to your computer, that's what that is. That's the file name. So that actually matters for SEO, and I am always amazed by this. I use Google image search a lot, so I know kind of what's out there in the marketplace and what's, readily available. And I am always, even high-end, high authority marketing websites, they do not take time to optimize their photos. I'm going to say 7 times out of 10, which is quite a lot. So by utilizing proper image SEO, you will have a heads up out there. I'm not going to say that you're instantly going to be ranking in Google. I make no promises of that. But you definitely will improve your overall SEO a lot. And I can guarantee you that because of so many people not optimizing their photos right now, if you begin doing that, you will begin seeing more visibility, at least within Google's image search results. Also, optimizing the image alt text is very important for SEO as well and showing up in the search engines. Also, using captions on appropriate images. Now, we're going to talk more about this later. We're going to go into each one of these elements more in depth, but the captions are important. However, you don't want to add a caption to every single image. And like I said, we'll talk more about why that is later. Also, inserting images near and around related text. A lot of people may not think that that would really matter, but it does, because Google wants to know, okay, does this image, again, they can't really read images very well, like the search engine bots. So they are relying on the image file name and the alt text to really tell them what that image is about. So if you're inserting this, an image in your blog post, you want to have it surrounding whatever certain topic it is that you're currently talking about. So if we're doing like a how-to blog post and I have a picture of, how to set up social media profiles, I want to make sure that I have the correct photo for each type of social platform. Like, let's say I'm going through Facebook and I'm going through Twitter and Pinterest and Google+. I want to make sure that for each portion of that blog post that I have the appropriate picture, the one for Google+ under the Google+ section of my blog post, right? So that does matter for image SEO. It helps give context to your image and where it belongs on the page and how it interacts with the page. Also, the page URL and domain authority will help you increase your rankings, your image rankings as well. So if you're a blog that's been around for a while and you have some keyword rankings and you have some authority built up, then you're definitely going to be able to increase your image visibility a lot quicker than someone that may be just starting out, they don't have a lot of authority yet, etc. So that is a ranking factor for image SEO as well. Also, does the image match your page topic? That should go without saying. We really shouldn't have any unrelated images inside of a page or a blog post, but I just wanted to make mention of that because that is important. Also, is the image popular and does it get a lot of user engagement? This is another one that a lot of people may not think about. However, one unique thing that is different about image SEO versus regular SEO for text is that normally we know that Google does not look favorably upon duplicate content, especially when it comes to text, right? However, for images, that's not really the case. We can actually get away with using images that other people have used, especially if they are popular and we know that they've got a lot of engagement on them, things like memes, right? So what matters most to Google right now is engagement. So if you could use the exact same picture that another website has, it could be popular, it could be posted all around the web. However, now Google's able to see where the original came from, but what they really care about is which image is getting the most engagement. Because let's say, for example, like I said before, if you have an image that's been posted all over the web, it's super popular, but your image and that particular blog post on your website gets a ton of traffic and a ton of visibility, guess what? Google is going to start ranking your image higher in their search results because you're the most popular one getting all the traffic. So how popular that image is and how engaging or how engaged people are with that image makes a big difference on how well you will rank. Optimizing the file sizes and dimensions, that also is very important. This is mostly important for the responsiveness, between desktop users and mobile users. So we want to make sure that the image sizes that we have are going to be appropriate for each type of user. Remember, there's more mobile users now than there are desktop. However, I can say but I know this for a fact that their desktop users actually have higher click-through rates and higher conversion rates than mobile users do. So we don't simply want to optimize our websites just for mobile users and forget the desktop, because desktop users are typically the ones that end up buying the most. So the way that a lot of usability goes, I think how this ends up working a lot is people go to their phones to check things throughout the day. They go check their email, they check what's going on social media. However, when it comes to a buying decision, they end up going to a desktop or a laptop computer to do more research, so that it's a larger screen, they have more information in front of them, they can make better quality decisions. So that's why conversion rates tend to be higher on desktop. Now, like I said, we need to make sure that each side, both desktop and mobile users, are having a good user experience. So that means that we need our images to be responsive, which means that they will change the sizes or the dimensions depending on who is viewing the site. Now, if you are using a WordPress website, WordPress takes care of this for you for the most part. Whenever you upload an image to WordPress, it will make copies of the image, and it will make different sizes. Like it'll make like 7 different sizes so that it can display the appropriate size for whatever user is viewing your site. The thing that isn't automatically optimized is the file sizes, and later in this course I'm going to actually show you how to compress those file sizes so that it reduces our site speed, so that your site isn't bloated and takes forever to load. Also, like I said before, mobile-friendly images. I'm not going to cover that again. I feel like I talked about that well enough. But finally, image sitemaps for optimal indexing. So basically, WordPress, if you use WordPress pretty much takes care of this for you for the most part. If you have images that are within your blog posts or your pages, those will automatically be included in your pages and post sitemaps. However, if you have extra images around on your website that you want indexed, or you have an e-commerce based website, then you might want to go to the extra effort of creating an image sitemap so that you're making sure that Google's getting absolutely all the images on your website, and those are getting properly indexed the way they should, so that you're showing up in the image results. So who actually needs image optimization? Well, in case I haven't convinced you already, there are a few more good reasons why image SEO can be beneficial to your business. So first of all, anyone who visually sells their products or services, image SEO is a must-have. Now, so the short answer is that everyone needs image SEO, but the question is just how profitable will it be for your business? That will really depend on your business and the market that you're in. So for example, if you're a business where you visually sell your products or services, then you definitely have to have image optimization, like with decorators, interior designers, remodelers, hotels, real estate, things like that. Or if you're in markets like, crafting or do-it-yourself projects, jewelry, cooking, beauty, skincare, hair care, fitness, fashion, or even like the automotive industry, or even sometimes healthcare. So if you're in one of those markets, then optimizing your images and taking inventory of that is definitely going to be important for you. Also, image optimization is a must for people that are doing link building, or if you're an image licensor, or anyone that wants optimal SEO. So that's really essential if you create any content that's been designed to earn links. If you're creating long blog posts or long articles, or you're doing case studies, or you write reviews, or you write how-to posts, or you have lots of graphs and infographics or event photos, then you definitely want to take the time to go ahead and optimize all of those assets so that you're increasing your visibility. Or, if you license visual content, like if you're a photographer, or you're an illustrator, or an artist, or you have a stock photo gallery or something like that, then proper image optimization for your images will definitely be necessary for you to achieve your desired level of traction online. Also, if image packs are popular in your market, then image optimization is a must-have for you as well. So one way that you can check this, we're going to do a live demo later on in this course, but simply you're just going to go into Google. You can type in one of your main keywords or market or industry, for example, like cosmetic dentist or cosmetic dentist Tampa or something like that. And you're simply going to examine the search results. So for markets that sell goods and services visually, Google is beginning to automatically show images in the SERPs where there's a high search demand. And you may be surprised at some of the markets that actually come up with images. Now, again, this isn't a foolproof method. You know, if you don't have image packets that show up in your market, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't go through with image optimization. For example, salons and spas probably won't end up having image packs displayed in the SERP results. They'll probably end up having more map results showed for those things, but it can still be extremely advantageous for a business like salons or spas to use image SEO, because by taking pictures of their establishments and their finished work, they can definitely win over more website visitors, social followers, and clients that want to see pictures of the work that they've done, right? Not to mention that it'll also increase their visibility online as well. So that's really why, you know, image optimization is important, and those are the main people that you can't skip over image optimization if you're in one of these categories. You know, if you visually sell products or services, if you are an image licenser, or you're a link builder, or anyone that's really concerned with their SEO, or if you have image packets that are within your market, then you need to be you need to be more aware of your images and your optimization. All right, so when it comes to quality, you want to choose the highest quality images possible. If you can't make every picture high definition, at least make sure that you've chosen an image that's clear and can be easily seen in your published posts. Now, let's talk a little bit about image types and how to use them properly. So first of all are JPEGs. Now, JPEGs are definitely the most common, and it's always good to know what types of files that you're working with so that you can best use the ones that are appropriate to your needs. So for SEO purposes, you'll generally be using a JPEG file, and JPEG images are the most common, and they typically maintain the best quality when it comes to compressing or resizing the image. So that's the one that we're going to be using the most often. Since they maintain their quality during resizing, it makes them the most popular file type to use for smaller image sizes. So that's why JPEGs are kind of like that standard, right? That normal file type that everyone goes to. A few downsides, though, to the JPEGs is that it uses lossy data compression, which means that the quality can suffer depending on the settings. And there's really no ability to create a transparent background like there is with PNG files or GIF format. So that's the one downside. However, when we do want to create a transparent background, then we'll simply use a PNG file. And typically, we'll use a PNG file when it comes to downloading or editing files from Adobe Photoshop, or possibly even Canva as well. And one major benefit of using a PNG is that you can save them with a transparent background that can be used for a variety of things, such as logos or favicons, or, you know, graphic designs where the image is small, yet you want to maintain a high quality resolution. So, you know, even as you continue to resave your PNG images, the quality won't degrade like some other file types, which is a really nice thing about them. Also, PNGs can be saved as a PNG 24 or a PNG 8. Now, the difference is a PNG 8 file is limited to a 256 color palette, whereas a PNG 24 can display higher quality, but it will also result in a larger file size. So that's the downside to that. So it just depends on, you know, are you going for color quality and, you know, high definition, or are you going just for main usability? You know, we want to reduce the file size, we just need it to be a good enough quality. You know, that's really depends on which style of PNG you're going to be using. I do believe that most PNGs are a PNG 8, I believe. Also, you have your GIF formats. Now, a GIF is a format for a bitmap image that's typically used for simple animations and artwork. So it's similar to the PNG files, but GIFs are a good option for even smaller image sizes. And it's very similar to like the PNG 8, because GIF images are also limited to a 256 color palette. So for best results, you want to avoid using GIFs for super important photos like selling products. We probably want to stick to the JPEGs or a PNG for that. Now, GIFs are perfect when it comes to the formation for logos or other page elements, since it has a small file size and it supports transparent backgrounds. The downside is that GIFs are not recommended for regular photos or images. But GIFs are also fun to use inside of blog posts because we can add those animations, right? You can add a clip of a video or some moving text, which can make things a lot more engaging. Okay, in this short video, let's just talk about what some of the different types of images or visuals that you guys could use inside of your content, or in social media or your blogs or your website or your marketing, whatever it may be, right? All these different types of images that you guys can use. So first of all, yes, there's photos. That's one of the most popular types, right? But if you don't have photos or you don't have a good digital camera or whatever, you can also use enhanced stock photos, or you can use premium stock photos as well. Or there's infographics that you guys can create. There's also illustrations and drawings that you guys can make. There's mind maps. There's screenshots. There's GIFs that you can use. There's typography. There's slides even. So there's all kinds of different images that are available to be created and used. And I do recommend that you guys use a variety of different images and visuals, because let's say that you wanted to start doing something like every Thursday you do a particular video, like a short little video, and you upload that to social media. Well, maybe a part of that video is you creating a mind map, or you creating some kind of a drawing, and writing out tips for people, or I don't know, it could be anything. But I do recommend that you use a different variety, because that way, if you do want to use like original photos, that could be great for your blog, and you could use that as a featured image, or maybe you're in e-commerce and so you have lots of products. Taking your own unique photos gives you an asset, that's an asset to your website. And when you're creating different kinds of visuals, they can serve different purposes. You can draw out, like I have here, like on a whiteboard style type of thing, or a drawing board, or whatever it may be. And that could just be, written text, just like I have in front of you. But this could also be, you could take a screenshot of it, and it could make, it could be a picture that you insert into a blog post. So there's a lot of different ways that you guys can use all these types of visuals and images. That's why it's good to use a varying variety of different types, so that way they can be used for a number of different things. Also, a good reason to use a variety of different types of images is because you're going to attract different types of people based on whatever the image is. So, when maybe let's say someone is searching inside of Google Images and they are looking for social media tips. Well, if they were looking for social media tips, then a good type of visual might be a whiteboard style, writing out the tips like this, or maybe on a whiteboard, right? Or maybe another type of graphic design software, something where you're able to draw things out and write things out. That could be very beneficial and helpful. And maybe someone would want to go ahead and use that visual inside of their blog post, and they could reach out to you and go, hey, I really liked your image for this. Could I use this inside of my blog post? That's one way. GIFs are really good for gathering, capturing attention. So I like to use GIFs at like the top of a blog post when I'm trying to reel in my reader, right? So there's different ways and there's different purposes behind all of these things. For mind maps, maybe you're trying to give someone an overview of maybe it's a certain type of marketing and you want to show them how it links to other types of marketing. So that would be a good way to give people overviews of large concepts, and then you could break it down into smaller concepts. Infographics are awesome and they work really well for social media, because on social media, people like to be visually stimulated. They don't really like to sit there and read a bunch of text. So, showing your message and the points that you're trying to convey is a lot more powerful than just telling them through text or having them read. So infographics is like that sweet balance between pictures and written information, and that does really well on social. It's also a really great idea too for smaller types of lead magnets, for if you want to do like a really long infographic and maybe you're giving the top 10 ranking factors of 2018, right? That would be a good little way to, you could either lock your content and have people social share to unlock that and be able to get access to it, or you could have them sign up for your newsletter or, become a subscriber, and then they can download that as like a PDF or something. That works really well too for infographics. So there's a lot of different ways that you guys can use all these things. Screenshots are really good when you're doing like a how-to post or a tutorial, or you're showing someone like how to do something. So I really like to use screenshots or screen captures for those particular things. And then typography type images are just good if you need some filler and you need a quick image and you want to just be able to insert something quickly. Or they're also really good if you want to break down a concept and kind of give other ideas that may be related to that particular topic. So for example, let's say that you want to make like a typography like word cloud, and those are really cool because it associates other topics and ideas together with whatever you're discussing. So for example, like social media, maybe some other words that would be closely related would be things like blogging or vlogging or video marketing or SEO or image optimization, right? So those could all be other surrounding smaller words that you include around social media marketing. So there's a bunch of different ways that you guys can use these things. Also, slides can be used, let's say that you did a big presentation for a course that you just created, or maybe for your company or something, then go ahead and upload those slides to a place like SlideShare, and make sure that you brand those slides as well, like with your website. So that way people know exactly where this came from and they know where they can go to get more information on whatever the topic may be. So I hope this has been helpful for you guys. I just wanted to give you a brief overview of all the different types of visuals that you can create and how you can go about using them. Okay, so in this brief video, I'm just going to be quickly showing you how you could go about finding some image opportunities. So we're here in Google Keyword Planner. That's where I like to begin most of my keyword research, if you haven't been able to tell by now. So let's say that we wanted to work within the e-commerce niche. Let's think of some things that may induce images. So, and if you're totally lost and you're not sure, you could always go to Google, type in some things. So let's just do that real quick, because I wanted to show you guys this anyway. And you guys may be surprised. Here's one quick thing that I'm going to show you. So if you type in something like wine glasses, and you could expect this, like wine glasses, yeah, it's a product, probably going to get some images to show up, right? And sure enough, we do for the most part, because you have these shopping results over here, which are visual, So that is one good thing. And also we have images down here, closer to the bottom. So this is what I'm talking about when I say image packs. When you have images show up within a particular search, this means that, if you type in your market or whatever niche that you're in and you see image results show up on this page, that means that you need to be focused on image optimization, because you could be showing up in these results here, which means you could be getting more traffic to your site. So that's why that's important. Okay, now, sure, wine glasses, that's kind of an e-commerce sort of product, right? Now, another thing that you might be surprised about, let's type in something like I don't know, door locks. Check it out. We got all kinds of shopping results over here, and look at that. Even down here, images for door locks. Something that I would have never thought would have been something that would have popped, like, I don't know, door locks. Like, it's just pretty standard. I wouldn't have thought that people would have really been seeking images for that. But obviously, they are, because we know that Google only shows these image results for high demand markets or niches. So something to keep in mind, right? So even for things that may surprise you, right? Markets that may surprise you, like that one really surprised me, and I was like, I gotta show them that, because this is why we need to come in here and do a little bit more research to know, oh, hey, my market is here. I need to make sure that I'm showing up for these things here. Let's just click in here real quick. So here's like one of the first results. It's Home Depot. Here's another one for Walmart. Here's one that looks like sort of a blog. Now this one is optimized. That's an optimized image. Also an optimized image. Consumer report, that's probably also optimized. So they're doing a good job. Redirect. So we're not able to see that one. All I'm really looking for right now is how many of these top results were optimized and how many aren't. If it's from a big supplier like Home Depot or maybe even AliExpress, I'm not real sure about that one. Like Home Depot definitely be, Walmart would definitely probably be optimized. All of these bigger retailers. Amazon's probably going to be optimized. eBay. So let's check these out. Let's see. Okay, so kind of optimized. Yeah, long tail. Also, no optimization for this one. Secure Penguin. No alt text. Kind of optimized. Yeah, we'll call that optimized enough. And no optimization here. So, as you guys can see, out of what, 10, 12 results, like we got right here, basically. So we've gotten, yeah, pretty much three lines in, and then it kind of stops being optimized. So, as you guys can see, the competition or your opportunities to be able to rank within image searches is very high right now. That's why I was very surprised, like this is still an underutilized SEO method, because you know, sure, all these results up here were optimized, but we only got to like right here, and now probably a lot of these results down here are not going to be as optimized. Now that's not to say that all of them won't, like Lowe's, Amazon, those probably will be, but chances are, you know, that we're going to be experiencing a lot less optimization from here. We can even do a few more searches if you want. Let's just dive in real quick. I'm not going to go too much. Okay, so that one is, well, okay, that one is, but not very well, just door lock. And then that one has some longer text to it. So there's definitely an opportunity here still, because as you guys can see, like some aren't. A lot of it has to do with you know, the domain authority of these websites where it's coming from, but there is still a lot of opportunity here, and especially when, you know, you have something that's even more visually stimulating, then you have a lot more even opportunities to have a bunch of images, optimize for those images, and then show up well within these image search results. All right, so now let's actually dive into each one of the image SEO ranking factors. So we kind of touched on this already. Basically, the elements of image SEO is, you know, that's what the ranking factors are. But let's dive into it a little bit more in depth. So I'm here on my blog. I'm going to be demonstrating each portion in a separate video just to make things easy for you guys. So first of all is the image file name, and image SEO first begins with the image's file name because that's where, when you first find an image or you take an image or you download an image, the first thing that you're ever going to be doing is naming it, right? And then saving it to your computer. So that's why it's the very first step. Now, I'm going to come in here into my media and you guys can take a look. The great thing about WordPress is that whatever your file name is, so if you've taken the time to properly optimize the file name and taken the time to create a good, let's just say a good file name, then it's just automatically, that's going to be the title here, the alt image title. Now, we're going to talk a little bit more about this later, but it really doesn't hold too much SEO weight. That's the only thing that you really need to know. But this will automatically be inserted for you if you're using WordPress. Then all I do is if it's properly optimized, you don't have to do anything else. So all you have to do is copy and paste and put it down here into the alt text section. And this can be, the same. So also up here, you'll see that this is happens to be a PNG file, and I saved it with a optimized title right off the bat. Now, at any time, you can always go in, edit the image. You could, here's where you would say if you want it, where you want it aligned, if you want it to link to something, what size you want it inside of your post, and then you would simply hit insert post, and then that's how that would work. Now, you want to think about it like this. When you're naming your images, you want Google to know what the image is about without even looking at it. So you want to be pretty descriptive, right? And this is easy because if your image is like a busy morning in New York City with the Empire State Building in front and center, then the file name should probably be like Empire State Building, NYC, sunrise, right? It shouldn't be like DSC 5367 JPEG. So you see what I'm saying? Like, you should definitely have a well optimized file name so that even without anyone being able to see the image, they already know what the image is going to be about. All right, so up next is the alt text, and the alt text is added to an image so that there will be a descriptive text when an image can't be displayed to visitors for whatever reason. And I think Wikipedia really puts it best. They said, in situations where the image is not available to the reader, perhaps because they turned off images in their web browser or they're using a screen reader due to a visual impairment, the alternative text ensures that no information or functionality is lost. So that's really helpful, right? Especially to people that have have disabled their images or whatever. In the SEO world, outside of just usability, it also serves to describe the image to the search engine crawlers, because remember, they don't have that technology yet to be able to see and read what an image contains. They just know that there's an image there. So the image alt text helps our images to show up in Google's web and image search results as well, because now it's optimized properly and they know where to put it and what it has to do with and what it relates to. And I think a lot of people forget that. I think even a lot of marketers out there, I think they assume that Google can read their images and that they know what the image is about, and so they don't take the time to optimize it. But if you do, it's going to really improve your visibility a lot. And so real quickly, let's just go into an image here. So here's our alt text or alternative text, and some rules for the best results when it comes to alt tags is basically you want to write your image alt text in plain English, just like you would for your image file names. If you happen to be selling products that have model numbers or serial numbers, you can also use them inside of this alt text. And typically I like to put whatever the main focus keyword is, try to put that at the front of the text here. And then, you know, say you had a model number or something, you could pop that in the back end right here, you know, like that. So that's another great way you can go about using that. And definitely, if you're selling any kind of like brand name products, definitely include the brand name as well. That's going to be important for branding and for you coming up when other people type those things into Google's image search or even just the web results. Also, do not keyword stuff. Keyword stuffing is long dead anyway. It's not going to help you rank any better by doing it. Now, you can definitely use long-term keyword phrases. That's encouraged. But you don't want to keyword stuff. You don't want to try and fit in a ton of different keywords inside of your alt text here. You don't want to add the same keyword over and over again. You know, for example, like one might be, oh, let me just write one out for you so you know an example. So an example of keyword stuffing might be like best protein powder, buy protein powder, organic protein powder. You know what I'm saying? Like just going on and on and on. You don't want to do that. You want to make it readable. You want to, because people are going to be reading this at some point. And if not, then at least Google's search engine crawlers are going to be reading it. And they're basically like a human would be reading it. So you want to just write it the way that you would read it. Also, I don't recommend using alt text for decorative images or just small little images around. Chances are that Google may penalize you for over optimization. Like if it's, for example, things like icons. If you have icons on your website or you have them in your media library for something that you've used on your website, there's no reason to go and optimize those things. That would be considered over optimization if you went ahead and began putting keywords into some of those things. So I don't recommend that. If you can't resist, then at least optimize, you know, if you, like I have in this blog post, I have like 6 different images here. Now, I have not used the focus keyword over and over and over again. I've used different terms just based on whatever the particular image is about. So for this one, I named it Niche Research Sweet Spot. And niche research is my focus keyword for this blog post, but I see this one I just named niche marketing. You know, I didn't name it niche research da 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 da. I could have done benefits of niche research or something like that, but I wanted to stick more closely to what the actual image was than trying to make it fit with my focus keyword. Because again, when people type in niche marketing in the search engines, my image might come up, right? So I wanted to keep it relevant to whatever the topic is displaying, or the image is displaying here. So here, like I didn't even include a focus keyword in this one. I have target audience, which is a keyword, but it's not my focus keyword for this particular blog post. But I think it represents the image well. And, you know, I could have named it Find Niche Keywords or Find Niche Market Keywords. You know, I could have done that. And I still could if I wanted to, but I'm not going to for now. I'm going to leave it as is because I don't want, because I'm down here, I've named these other things. I've named Digital Marketing PPC Competition. Here, Finding Market Demand within Google Planner. Now, I think I will optimize this one just a little bit because why not put niche market, right? But look at how many keywords I'm using. I'm making this a really long-term keyword phrase, if you will, right? So that's a good thing to do, is, you know, having them like 4, 5, 6 words long is totally okay. Also, one last little tidbit I will give you here is you want to make the most of all of your image angles. So if you sell products on your website, then it's really popular to display, you know, multiple angles of a product. Like, let's say that you were selling clothing online. You wouldn't want to just show one angle of the clothes. You wouldn't want to just show the front. You would want to show the back, and maybe even have models try on the clothes so that you can take side shots as well, right? So the best way to make the most of each of these extra photo assets would be to optimize the alt text and to create a unique one for each one of the shots of your product. So a few examples of that would be something like, you know, let's say that you're selling like an iPhone. Now we could do like file name. The file name could be 2018 rose gold iPhone X front view, right? And then it'll be like Jpeg or something. So that could be our file name, and then simply our alt text would be the exact same thing without the spaces or the little dashes. So that minus all these little things. And now we have a well-optimized file name and alt text that will be, you know, unique to what angle it is. So, you know, we could do this with rear view, right? We could do right side view or side view right? However you want to do it. So I just wanted to give you that as an example because, yeah, a lot of you are in the e-commerce industry, so you're going to have all kinds of different products that you can optimize your photos for, and you don't want to leave out, you know, missing these opportunities just because you're not sure of how to optimize the file name or the alt text. So that's a really easy way to go about doing that. Let me see. Basically, the whole point of this, of optimizing your file names and alt text, is to be so descriptive that you boost your visibility in the search engines, and also that searchers will potentially visit your website based on your optimizations. You know, having this be optimized for digital marketing, what was it here? Digital marketing growth Google Trends, right? So if someone types in digital marketing growth or they type in Google Trends, this particular image might come up, and I might be getting more website visitors based on my optimization. And that's the whole point of what we're trying to achieve. So what is an image's title text? Well, we've talked about this just a little bit already. So basically, it's the thing, you know, if you hover over an image, you'll see the alt text come up, or you'll see the title image come up. This is basically what that is all about. Basically, how this happens is if we click in here, we go here, and you see this image title attribute. That's what that is. If we removed this, when we hovered over an image, nothing would show up. It would just be plain. However, now that we have this here, whenever someone hovers over, it'll display that, which actually does increase the usability just a little bit because it explains a little bit more about what the pictures is. Now, if we didn't optimize this properly and we didn't have anything, you know, to show, then nothing would come up here. But this is also good if people have disabled their images, then this will show up, and so it helps with usability basically. And you can, to form this, we just copy and paste whatever the alt text is, like I showed you guys before. So very easy, very simple, easy. Now, here's the thing about the image title text. It does not help with SEO. It is not an SEO factor. I did want to touch on it because a lot of people think, oh, if I optimize this, it's going to help even more. Well, not when it comes to the image title attribute or the image title text. It can be helpful and it's good for providing information, but it doesn't give us any SEO juice at all. Okay, so now we're going to be talking about captions. Now, this is one image optimization tip that I used to use. I stopped using it for a while, and I've started using it again. Because honestly, for a long time, I didn't think that captions really did anything, but it actually is partially a ranking factor, and it can help when done appropriately. So a caption, just so you guys know, it's the text that occurs right underneath an image. And sometimes it's in a gray box. If you're in WordPress, it just kind of shows up like this, like a little smaller plain text. And the reason that captions are important for SEO is basically adding captions adds more text to a page for the search engines to index. And not only that, but people also use that text when scanning articles. And remember that most people are often going to be scanning your articles versus actually reading them word for word. So that's why it can be important. Now, notice that while I have properly optimized my image with good alt text and an image title, I did not include a keyword or my focus keyword inside the captions because it felt a little overboard to do that. Now, that's not to say that it's wrong. I could have easily said, click here to enroll now in my niche research course for just $10, right? I could have done that. But I just decided not to for this particular one because I felt like I had already optimized a lot of other things on this page and I didn't want to over optimize. But by all means, if you're going to add a caption, then go ahead and pop in your focus keyword. Just try to add some other text. Don't just add in niche market or niche research or whatever the focus keyword is. You want to make it readable, add some value there, right? So another thing to note is that no, you shouldn't add a caption to every image. That would be a little redundant, and Google would probably see it as being over optimization. As a general rule, if the visitor would think that it makes sense to have a caption there, then by all means add one. Otherwise, if it doesn't really make sense to have, like for some of these down here, like I could have added a caption for that one, I suppose. But like this really doesn't demand a caption. There's nothing really to say about this particular image, right? It's very general, generic. It's just there to add some color and, give some interesting visuals to the page. So you just want to add captions to things that need a little bit more explaining, or if you want to add a fun little note or some kind of tidbit to the audience. Basically though, yeah, you don't want to just add captions for the sake of SEO. You want to add captions to help your visitors better understand the image or to better understand your content on the page. Okay, so you've got your image for your article, you've named it with your focus keyword in it. Hopefully you've already gotten your plugins installed that will compress your images or resize them appropriately, and now you're ready to add your images to your post. So before you slap that baby in any old place, keep in mind that placing the image near related text inside your article is going to be much better for SEO and for readers as well. So for example, over here I'm displaying the niche research sweet spot, and instead of placing this at like the top of the article where I'm not talking about that, I have it down here right beside. So how can you find your sweet spot niche or niche sweet spot, right? So this is related to what this image over here is talking about. Also down here, a better one would be like this one here. So here I'm showing like analyzing the competition and showing them, how to pick out the ads from the results in Google. And I did actually caption this photo as well. But also, just the main thing to take away here is that I'm placing all of these images, just like down here. Google Images is great for niche research. And then I have this, finding niche market demand with Google Keyword Planner. So it's very related, right? And I could have even added like Google Keyword Planner is great for niche research. I probably should reword that slightly differently. There we go. So now it's close to related text, and I'm talking a little bit more about it down here. Sorry, I'm just finding a few mistakes to correct. But basically, that's what you want to do, right? You just want to have your images surrounded or close to text that is related to whatever you're displaying here. So, very simple, very straightforward. There's really not much to say about that. Just make sure that whenever you're inserting images, make sure it's surrounded by or close to text that is related to that image. Okay, so when it comes to, right before you're about to compress your images or decide if you even need any resizing, first come here to, this is basically Google's mobile-friendly site test. You're just gonna plug in your website here. It'll bring up a list of things like whether your site is mobile friendly or not. It should also bring up the site speed. Sometimes the site speed doesn't work, so you may need to go to their other tool to check that. But you could also go to Mobi Ready as well. Pop in your website right here, and it'll give you a list of things, whether your website is good to go for mobile or if there's a few factors that need to be changed or updated. So both of these tools are really good. I think Mobi Ready is even sometimes better than Google's tool because it gives you a list of different things that you can go ahead and change or update if needed. And then to go ahead and check your website speed, you would simply come here. I'm going to have all of these links in the resources for you guys, so no need to frantically write them down or anything like that. So then you just come here, pop in your website URL inside the page speed test, and then it'll give you that feedback, whether you're under that 7-second mark or whether 10 seconds, or whether you're over that mark, and then if you are, then you'll need to de-bloat your site, remove any unused plugins that you're not using, go ahead and compress all of your image sizes so that reduces your data on your site and the load time. So those are just a few ways. These are, this whole thing that we're talking about right now, this is like a preliminary before you get started on compressing those images and deciding whether you need to resize them or not. So simply come here, do a mobile site test, do a speed test, and then you'll know where you're kind of at, and then go ahead, do those optimizations. And then you could even come back here again and do another speed test to make sure that that compression reduced your site speed enough. And like I said, if it didn't, then go ahead, remove any plugins or anything like that that you're not using, because that does bloat your site even if they're not activated. So just keep that in mind. And one last tool that you could use if you needed to is GTmetrix. This helps know how fast your site is loading and whether or not it's properly mobile optimized. But like I said before, I'm going to have all these resources for you guys in the resources section of this video. So simply check that out, go through all those steps, and then you will be ready to do the image compression. So one question that you guys might have is basically like, how large should my image files be, right? Well, you can reduce the file size of the images using the compression tool that we just went through, Image Optimizer, and you could resize all of your images to a certain dimension if you wanted to do that. You could also use tools like PicMonkey or Image Optum or Jpeg Mini. There's a lot of different resizing tools out there. I'll give you a list of them in the resources. But basically, you I like to use Image Optimizer the most because for me, that takes care of 99% of all my needs. However, I'm not an an e-commerce site or anything that has like thousands of images. So a good rule of thumb, especially for e-commerce images, is to try to keep your image file size below 70 kilobytes. So that's just a good rule of thumb. Thumbnails are also great, but be careful because they can be a silent killer to your page load times, because usually presented in like during a critical step during a shopping process. So holding up your customers from being able to browse and have a good user experience can cut down on your conversion rates as well. So you do need to be careful with that. But Shopify users don't have to worry about thumbnail optimization because they already take care of that for you. That's already inbuilt inside the platform. So you don't have to worry about that if you are a Shopify user. And WordPress does their best to take care of that as well by allowing you to show your thumbnails at a certain dimension. Now, you can make your thumbnail sizes as small. You want to try and make them as small as possible. It may be worth letting quality go just a little bit in favor of having smaller file sizes, because that will speed up everything, right? And that's very important, because again, remember this: if you don't even have people that are getting to your website, it doesn't really matter how good of quality your images are, right? So we first need to get people to our website by lowering our load times, and then once we're getting enough traffic and we have more people visiting our sites and our bounce rates are lower, then we can worry about increasing the quality of our images. Although you might not even have to worry about that, because a lot of times with the tech that we have now and the tools that we have and the lossy data compression, there isn't as much of a loss of quality as there used to be in past years. Also, you want to vary your alt text as much as possible so that you're not duplicating the text that you would use for larger images. So this is important, especially if you are an e-commerce site and you have thumbnails that are smaller versions of larger photos that you want to display maybe on a product page or something. So just keep that in mind, and you can use the little trick that I showed you before, where if you have different angles of products or something, put rear view, front view. You could also do, thumbnail, right, as another qualifier or another way to differentiate your alt texts between your larger images and your thumbnail images. And the last thing that you want to keep in mind is that for those of you that use image galleries, you definitely want to use a plugin that will help reduce your page load times, because having a lot of images on one page can really slow down things a lot. So one of my favorite plugins for that would be Envira Gallery WordPress plugin. That's the main one I would recommend. There's a lot of them out there, but that one seems to get a lot of great reviews and is updated often. So that's one I would recommend. Okay, so a few quick notes about Image Optum, and this is a really great thing to use, is basically it will help you reduce your image file sizes. It will also help you remove all that invisible junk, the metadata that is included with photos that are taken from digital cameras. So that Exif metadata, that will remove that, and basically it will seamlessly combine all of your image optimization tools, or it's basically like if you combine all of those image optimization tools into one. So that's why I like Image Optum. And it also works with Mac as well. So if you're an Apple user, that will work well for you as well. And it's a very simple interface. It's simply drag and drop. So there's no even button clicks to even worry about. You simply drag all your files that you want to optimize into their little window, just like this. And then it'll take care of everything else. It'll strip the Exif data, and you'll get the smallest file sizes possible. So it's pretty cool. I enjoy it. Now, it will be as cautious as possible so that it preserves all of your image quality. And that's why I like this service. And it does a good job. Now, some of the commonly asked questions that people have, like, well, how does it compare to Tiny PNG or Mo's JPEG or Gazelle here? Well, you can get the same or better compression if you enable lossy minification, which basically means that you're going to get the best quality with the lowest or the smallest possible file size, which is what we're looking for. Also, someone asked, can I keep embedded copyright and camera information? Yes. In order to do that, you would simply uncheck the strip JPEG metadata. But if you do want to remove all that Exif data, which may have geolocation information inside of it, which is why you would want to remove it in the first place, then go ahead and leave that checked so that it will strip that metadata for you. Also, someone said it's slow on PNG files. How can I make it faster? Inside the preferences where it says PNG out and Zoplify, these tools will make optimization run quicker, but it will be a bit less effective. So you would just, if you wanted to make it go faster for your PNG files, you would simply uncheck these two things right here. But otherwise, leave it as it is in the default. And then someone asked if Image Optum will be in the App Store, and no, that you cannot buy this in the App Store. So this is just on its own website. I think, yeah, they have Windows and Linux available as well in older versions of Mac. So all types of users can use Image Optum, and it's very user-friendly. Okay, so now we're going to dive into image dimensions and sizes and how that kind of plays a part in everything that we're talking about. So basically, site load times are important for SEO and for usability. When a site loads fast, it's indexed faster, and it's also easier to browse the site. Images have a large impact on our website's load speeds. This is especially true when you have large images on your site, but then you display them at really small dimensions. So for example, if you have a 2000 by 1000 pixel image, but you're only showing it at 200 by 100 pixels, the entire image size still has to load even if you're displaying it at that smaller size. So that could really be creating a lot of bloat on your website and slowing things down. So for best results, we want to scale the image to whatever size that we want to display it at. WordPress helps make this a lot easier by offering the image in different sizes after we upload it. Also, if we wanted to adjust that very quickly, we can use their default settings right here. So they have their thumbnail sizes, you have your medium size, you have your full size, whatever the full size image is, and then you have a custom size where you can put in your custom dimensions right here. So that's one way that you can make that really easy for yourself by doing that. But the main thing, the thing that doesn't occur automatically through WordPress is the compression. So compressing that file size. We still need to do that so that it reduces our site load time. So the way that we would go about doing that is through a plugin. You can either use Smush Image Optimizer or also Image Optimizer. That's the one I'm going to be showing you here today. That's what I have installed. I've used both though. I've used Smush and I've used and they both work equally well. So over here, I'm inside Image Optimizer in the settings, and there's just a couple of things that you're going to want to change. So first of all, we're here in the basic settings tab. You could go ahead and insert a cloud optimization API key, but you will have to purchase that. It does improve the experience a wee bit, but again, that comes at a cost. But however, it's not a make it or break it. I use this for free, and I don't have any issues. So the first thing that you're going to want to go ahead and change is you're going to want to click this box where it says remove metadata. Now don't freak out. This has nothing to do with your SEO metadata. Your image alt text and your image titles are still going to be there. That has nothing to do with this. What this is talking about is your Exif data that's within your image, that's hidden within your images. A lot, and we're going to talk about this more later, but basically with every picture that you take, like let's say that you're doing all your own photography and you're taking all of your own images, or maybe even you're getting real photographs from someone else. With every photograph that you take, there is metadata that is stored inside those photos. That's what we're talking about removing right here. And that actually does create a lot of bloat if we leave that in there. There's also other reasons for privacy's sake of why we want to go ahead and remove some of this data. So I like to check this box, remove all metadata. I like to leave these settings right here, just simply lossless compression. You could go ahead and change it to maximum, but the reason I don't do that is because you could actually see some deterioration in the quality of the image. So I'm just going to keep it default exactly what it is. Going to go ahead and save those changes and then go over here to advanced settings. The JPEG quality level should be about an 85. You could go up to 95 if you wanted to. Nothing else here. I don't change any of these other settings here. The thing that you could go ahead and do if you wanted to is you could insert a separate folder on your computer that you wanted to optimize that's not already uploaded to your media file or your media library. So that's one little cool feature that they have here. Go ahead and click save, and then we're going to go over to Resize Settings. I don't actually change anything in this tab. I leave everything as is. If you know that you want to resize your images to a certain dimension all across the board, you can do that right here, and that'll automatically resize everything for you. When it comes to, these are like disabling resizes. I don't worry about this at all. I don't use really any of these things, so you can just leave that as it is. Now, over here in the conversion settings tab, we do have a few things that we're going to change. I like to delete the originals because this could keep your site bloated if you don't remove those original images, right? It's like it's like going on a diet, but you don't remove any of the junk food from your house. You just buy a whole bunch of health food. So now you have the junk food and the health food. So what we want to do here is we want to remove the junk images that have the file sizes that are too big. So that will actually help to actually reduce our site's load times. And then here, I like to enable PNG to JPEG conversion. The reason I do this is because PNG files can tend to be larger and they can eat up a lot of your they can just basically they'll slow your site down. So that's why I like to go ahead and convert all of my PNGs to JPEGs. However, this can come at a cost if you have images that have a lot of transparent backgrounds that you used on your site. So that is just one warning about that. But that's also why you can go ahead and say JPEG background color, and you can change it to, you know, set whatever you desire. And again, it's saying here, you know, the background color is only used if the PNG has a transparency. If you don't have transparencies, or you know, PNGs that have transparencies on your site, you don't have to worry about that. So simply hit save changes, and now we are all ready to go with that. In here in the WP, I don't change any of these settings at all, so you can simply skip that and leave it as is. Now, to go into the actual optimization, let's just go here into media. And I have all these images here. In fact, I even still have images that are from the theme, right? And sometimes a lot of these images aren't optimized automatically. So sometimes when you are, installing a new theme, or you install that demo data, then a lot of these could be actually bloating your site without you realizing it, just because you left them in here. So you could either delete them, or you can simply mass compress everything, which is what we're going to do. We're going to go into bulk optimize, and now I could force re-optimize, which means even previously optimized images will be, that means that they'll all be re-optimized. If we left this box unchecked, then the previously optimized images would just be skipped over. So however you want to do it is perfectly fine. Before I get into this, I'm actually going to do a site speed test. I'm going to test my site speed, see where we're at with that, and then I'm going to come back and I'm actually going to then Okay, so now we're going to dive into image dimensions and sizes and how that kind of plays a part in everything that we're talking about. So basically, site load times are important for SEO and for usability. When a site loads fast, it's indexed faster, and it's also easier to browse the site. Images have a large impact on our website's load speeds. This is especially true when you have large images on your site, but then you display them at really small dimensions. So for example, if you have a 2000 by 1000 pixel image, but you're only showing it at 200 by 100 pixels, the entire image size still has to load, even if you're displaying it at that smaller size. So that could really be creating a lot of bloat on your website and slowing things down. So for best results, we want to scale the image to whatever size that we want to display it at. WordPress helps make this a lot easier by offering the image in different sizes after we upload it. Also, if we wanted to adjust that very quickly, we can use their default settings right here. So they have their thumbnail sizes, you have your medium size, you have your full size, whatever the full size image is, and then you have a custom size where you can put in your custom dimensions right here. So that's one way that you can make that really easy for yourself by doing that. But the main thing, the thing that doesn't occur automatically through WordPress is the compression. So compressing that file size, we still need to do that so that it reduces our site load time. So the way that we would go about doing that is through a plugin. You can either use Smush Image Optimizer, or also Image Optimizer. That's the one I'm going to be showing you here today. That's what I have installed. I've used both though. I've used Smush and I've used and they both work equally well. So over here, I'm inside Image Optimizer in the settings, and there's just a couple of things that you're going to want to change. So first of all, we're here in the basic settings tab. You could go ahead and insert a cloud optimization API key, but you will have to purchase that. It does improve the experience a wee bit, but again, that comes at a cost. But however, it's not a make it or break it. I use this for free and I don't have any issues. So the first thing that you're going to want to go ahead and change is you're going to want to click this box where it says remove metadata. Now don't freak out. This has nothing to do with your SEO metadata. Your image alt text and your image titles are still going to be there. That has nothing to do with this. What this is talking about is your Exif data that's within your image, that's hidden within your images. A lot, and we're going to talk about this more later, but basically with every picture that you take, like let's say that you're doing all your own photography and you're taking all of your own images, or maybe even you're getting real photographs from someone else. With every photograph that you take, there is metadata that is stored inside those photos. That's what we're talking about removing right here. And that actually does create a lot of bloat if we leave that in there. There's also other reasons for privacy's sake of why we want to go ahead and remove some of this data. So I like to check this box, remove all metadata. I like to leave these settings right here, just simply lossless compression. You could go ahead and change it to maximum, but the reason I don't do that is because you could actually see some deterioration in the quality of the image. So I'm just going to keep it default exactly what it is. Going to go ahead and save those changes and then go over here to advanced settings. The JPEG quality level should be about an 85. You could go up to 95 if you wanted to. Nothing else here. I don't change any of these other settings here. The thing that you could go ahead and do if you wanted to is you could insert a separate folder on your computer that you wanted to optimize that's not already uploaded to your media file or your media library. So that's one little cool feature that they have here. Go ahead and click save, and then we're going to go over to Resize Settings. I don't actually change anything in this tab. I leave everything as is. If you know that you want to resize your images to a certain dimension all across the board, you can do that right here, and that'll automatically resize everything for you. When it comes to, these are like disabling resizes. I don't worry about this at all. I don't use really any of these things, so you can just leave that as it is. Now, over here in the conversion settings tab, we do have a few things that we're going to change. I like to delete the originals because this could keep your site bloated if you don't remove those original images, right? It's like it's like going on a diet, but you don't remove any of the junk food from your house. You just buy a whole bunch of health food. So now you have the junk food and the health food. So what we want to do here is we want to remove the junk images that have the file sizes that are too big. So that will actually help to actually reduce our site's load times. And then here, I like to enable PNG to JPEG conversion. The reason I do this is because PNG files can tend to be larger and they can eat up a lot of your they can just basically they'll slow your site down. So that's why I like to go ahead and convert all of my PNGs to JPEGs. However, this can come at a cost if you have images that have a lot of transparent backgrounds that you've used on your site. So that is just one warning about that. But that's also why you can go ahead and say JPEG background color, and you can change it to, set whatever you desire. And again, it's saying here, the background color is only used if the PNG has a transparency. If you don't have transparencies, or PNGs that have transparencies on your site, you don't have to worry about that. So simply hit Save Changes, and now we are all ready to go with that. In here in the WP, I don't change any of these settings at all, so you can simply skip that and leave it as is. Now, to go into the actual optimization, let's just go here into Media. And I have all these images here. In fact, I even still have images that are from the theme, right? And sometimes a lot of these images aren't optimized automatically. So sometimes when you are, installing a new theme, or you install that demo data, then a lot of these could be actually bloating your site without you realizing it, just because you left them in here. So you could either delete them, or you can simply mass compress everything, which is what we're going to do. We're going to go into bulk optimize, and now I could force re-optimize, which means even previously optimized images will be, that means that they'll all be re-optimized. If we left this box unchecked, then the previously optimized images would just be skipped over. So however you want to do it is perfectly fine. Before I get into this, I'm actually going to do a site speed test. I'm going to test my site speed, see where we're at with that, and then I'm going to come back and I'm actually going to then optimize. Now, just as a little precursor to give you guys, I've already done this once on my website. However, I have uploaded other images since that time, so I'm sure there's things that could be compressed. But I just wanted to give you guys that little tidbit as a word of warning, because you may not see the site speed drop significantly for me because I have already optimized these images for the most part. Okay, so here we are back again inside of our little optimizer, Optimizer, and it is all finished optimizing all 1,300 of my photos. So I am just checking my site speed now to see if it reduced it at all. And honestly, it didn't. I was already doing okay. I was already really pretty much optimized for all of my photos already. So that's why I even warned you guys in the beginning. It's probably not going to reduce it too much because I was already pretty much optimized. But it looks like some of these other servers are having some problems. But that's not anything on my end to be concerned with. But so yeah, it didn't reduce my personal website speed because I was already pretty optimized, but I'm sure if you have not gone through and reduced your image sizes, then I am sure for you guys it will definitely help condense that site speed and make everything a lot faster for you. So that's something that you definitely want to do. And there's really nothing more that needs to be done. This is just the optimization log that's showing each one of the photos, and even it tells you like how much it was reduced by. So I don't know, you can use that for whatever it's worth. Okay, so the last two important image ranking factors to take into account are your page URL and your domain authority. So I know that that's kind of a little bit out of our control, but it's not also. It really has a lot to do with how much content that you produce and the quality of that content. And the more that you produce high quality content on a consistent basis, then the higher your authority will be over time. And also the more that you reach out to other websites to, collab with them on different things. Maybe it's a blog post, maybe it's a podcast, or maybe it's even a video, different things that you can collaborate on. So those also will show that you're outlinking to other authoritative websites too, and that will increase your authority as well. So the URL of the page that the images are hosted on can actually affect the image search traffic. So if an image is hosted on a well-optimized page URL, and it's a page that contains high quality content, it's relevant, and it already has a lot of authority, then your chances of getting your image ranked high in the search results will increase. So that kind of goes without saying, but I just wanted to point that out, that obviously Google rewards authority, and Google rewards how popular and how engaged any particular piece of content is. So the more engaged that people are with your content, the higher you're going to rank. That's about as simple as I can put it. Along with page URL, the page's domain authority, or the overall domain authority, can also affect an image's performance in Google's image searches. So if a domain already has a good reputation, they already have some authority there, and they've been offering quality, high quality content that's relevant, then those images are going to typically do better in the search results than, a brand new website that has no authority at all. Now, that's not to say that if you have a brand new website that you're out of luck. It's just we have to work a little bit harder to earn that authority, right? So it's still able to be done, and we're going to have to do it regardless if we're hoping to build a brand and a hub for our particular niche or industry. But we just might have to work a little bit harder at it. So that's just something to keep in mind. The other factor that plays a part, like I've said before, is the popularity and engagement of that particular image. So if you've used an image that already gets a lot of engagement, like through maybe social media or something, maybe it's a meme that you wanted to include in your post, or maybe include it as the featured image or something, that can work, and that can get you more engagement. However, it really depends on how much engagement your particular image has on your website. So even if you chose a popular image, unless that image is getting a bunch of click-throughs and engagement, like comments or something on your site or on your, you know, your digital real estate around, you know, let's say it's your social media sites or your blog or your website or whatever, then the more engagement that it gets, then the higher it will tend to rank in the search engine. So that's just another little piece of advice. I know that's not super duper actionable. You know, I guess what I can say is just try to really pay attention to your images. Make sure that you're getting good quality images and that the images invoke a sense of emotion, right? We talked when we first started this course, you know, we first talked about how having that emotional connection with your audience is really important. And a good way that you can do that is through images. So that's just one thing to keep in the back of your mind when you're choosing your images or you're creating your images. Try to do something that's either, you know, very valuable, like an infographic or something, or it's something that conveys emotion about whatever the topic is that you're talking about. So those are just some things to keep in the back of your mind as you're creating content and you're creating your images and all that good stuff so that you can rank higher in Google's search engine results. Okay, so here we are inside Google Keyword Planner. I'm going to show you how to gather a list of image opportunities. So let's just go about that. So my goodness, what industry do we want to tap into? There's a lot of things that we could go and dive right into. Let's do jewelry. Let's just make it easy, right? So let's just say jewelry, you know, or what would be even something else that people might like. If you're in the automotive industry, that would be a huge one because that's something where people want to examine the product before they go to the dealership to buy. So that would be one. But let's do jewelry just for now for the sake of ease of use and also e-commerce. So you know, we could do like energy jewelry. We could do, you know, pictures. Oh my goodness, the P's not working. There we go. Pictures of energy jewelry. Energy jewelry on sale. And if you guys wanted to do like an extra step, once you already have your list, you could go do searches for each one of these keywords and see which one of these terms actually brings up image packs for those particular keywords. That would be like an extra little step if you wanted to ensure, you know. So we have like chakra healing jewelry. We want to get pretty specific, right? Because whatever your niche is, you want to get very specific in these keywords, because chances are when people are looking for something specific and they want to see like pictures of it, then they want that exact model or that exact type of jewelry or whatever. So maybe even like pearl jewelry. Chakra healing bracelet. Chakra healing necklace. Birthstone jewelry. Images of chakra healing jewelry. Sorry, I'm getting used to a new keyboard if you guys can't tell. So yeah, that's good enough for now. Let's do that as a search. Here we get to, you know, kind of get to see the search engine traffic a little bit. So, you know, some of these didn't have any searches to them at all, which is quite all right. So we're saving ourselves some time, right? So if we just popped in jewelry, let's go to Google for just a second. Let's type in jewelry. So we have a few search results over here. We also have some local results. Do we have any images? No, no images, because it's not probably specific enough. So let's come here and let's get pearl jewelry. So we have even more shopping results, right? So, oh, and there we go. Images for pearl jewelry. So that's why we want to be as specific as possible, right? So that would be a good keyword to go after if we were in that particular niche. I'm sure birthstone jewelry will be very similar. Good amount of shopping results. No images in that particular search, but that doesn't mean that we still shouldn't optimize for it, right? Because still, even when we go over here, when people do search in the images results or Google Images, you can still end up coming up for some of these things. And let's just type in, or I mean, click into some of these listings here and see how optimized they are. Holy crap. They're in the you know, top results here, no optimization whatsoever. Can't see that one. This one is optimized. Let's go here. Here. So that one's optimized as well. And that one too. And this one as well. But that one's not. So there's a lot of opportunity in this market for sure for you know, image rankings. So that is just, you know, you kind of get the process, right? You just come here, make a list of some keywords. You can also add, you know, images to these, like I did here, like healing jewelry pictures, but there's not a lot of search results for that or search demand for that. So that probably wouldn't be a great one to go after. Let's just do one more together. Oh, let me go out. Let's go to all results real quick. Okay, there we go. Energy jewelry. So we have these that come up at the top here. No images, but that's all right. Now, if we could also, you know, see what pops up inside of the Google auto suggestions, right? So, like, you could do jewelry, and then spell it right. There we go. Jewelry, and then we got jewelry box, jewelry stores, jewelry making, jewelry organizer, and these could be other, you know, if we've run out of keyword ideas, these even like jewelry box, right? So we have a ton of search results over here, or shopping results, and then we have some local results, but no, oh no, that's just department, sorry. But still, the fact that there's a lot of shopping results for this means that we should probably be taking our images into account and optimizing them well. So I hope this has been helpful for you guys in seeing, you know, how you can gather a list of your keywords and then see which keywords might be the best opportunities or the best terms to use for your image optimization and helping you get more search traffic to your web pages. Okay, so now we're going to break down actually how to do an image optimization, the checklist that you would go through. Now, I wanted to do this on my drawing board, but it's not quite working right now. So without going through all that hassle and mess, I'm just going to write it out here on a WordPad for you. I'll also give this to you guys inside of the resources, so you'll have it for future reference. First of all, the first thing that you're going to want to do, I'm going to make this larger so you guys can see it better. But the first thing that you're going to want to do, just like with any campaign, is you want to actually decide what your goal is. Because there's a lot of different goals that you can have when it comes to different forms of optimization, right? For images, maybe you want to maybe you want to bring in or have people stay on your site longer, right? Or maybe that you want more traffic. Or maybe you want, higher keyword rankings. Or more keyword rankings. Or maybe you want more social followers or social engagement. Right? So there's a lot of different goals that you can have when it comes to why you want to optimize your images. Maybe it's that there's image packs that are showing up in the SERP results for your particular market, and you want to be seen for some of those things, right? So that could be another one too. Just increase brand awareness. So that could be another one as well. So there's lots of different goals that you can have. Just decide whatever it is, get clear on it, and then now the next thing that you're going to do is you're going to do a little analyzing of your keywords. Now, hopefully, if you've already got a business up and running, you have a list of keywords that you always go back to, and you kind of go, okay, how could we create more content around this keyword or whatever it may be, right? So you want to gather that list, look over it, and analyze for any image opportunities. And if you need to, you can always go back to Google Keyword Planner or another keyword tool and do a little bit more research to find image opportunities, right? Because after all, we want to focus on keywords for this image optimization. We want to focus on keywords that are getting image results in the search engines, right? Because something like marketing methods, some keyword like that may not be getting any searches for images at all, or have any image results popping up whatsoever. So something like that probably isn't going to be the most beneficial term for us to try and get any sort of images ranking high in the search engine results or anything like that. So that's why we want to focus on image opportunity types of keywords. So once you've done that, then you want to go ahead and select the keywords or terms you'll be focused on for the next 3 to 6 months. Just so you have a little bit of a game plan to move forward with. And then, next is getting into actually selecting your images or creating those images. Let's just say finding, creating images. And also you'll be naming all image files. After that, then you're getting into, you want to, the other point that I almost forgot is before you go through all that, if you're using digital photos that have been taken with like a digital camera, you want to go ahead and remove all the Exif data. Now, if you're using the U plugin that I've showed you earlier, or you're using Image Optum, you can skip this extra step that I'm going to be diving into in a minute, because that already does that for you. It already removes the Exif data. But I'm going to be showing you another manual way that you can remove the Exif data, and then also how to turn off the geolocation for any future images if it's on your own camera. So we'll be talking about that in just a minute, but I'm just going to put remove Exif data. And then name all image files. So those are kind of like 3 steps, but it all kind of happens at one time. Okay, next would be compressing your images, or, you know, installing your image optimizer. So that all those images can be nicely compressed, and we can keep our site speed up. Or, well, basically, so we can keep our site speed low. Basically, we want the seconds to be low. Also, you can go ahead and then optimize your images. So, and you're going to be optimizing the file name, which you already should have done, and then you're going to do the image alt text plus image title, and add a caption if appropriate. Then also you're going to want to make sure that you insert it within the post at the appropriate place. So you want to have related text around that. And then finally, you want to go ahead and make sure that everything is showing up and that it's mobile friendly. So, is everything mobile friendly? And you can check that like even before you get into all these steps, because you should know for the most part whether your site is mobile friendly or whether it's not. And you know, that can come at any point up here, but just make sure that it is before you go ahead and publish everything. So that is the basic gist of everything. Outside of this, one final step that I would recommend is that if you've been blogging for a while and you haven't been paying attention to your image optimization, you need to do an image audit. Or it would be best to do an image audit of all the images on your site. And you can do this using Screaming Frog. I'm not going to be walking you through this process. I will actually, there's a whole great post that a blogger wrote that I'm just going to let you read his blog post about it, because he went very in depth in it. I don't think I could do it justice, and it would take us an extra couple hours just to cover an image audit, which I don't want to get into for this particular course. So I'm going to skip that for now, but I will give you guys the resources on how to do that so that you can do that when you get to that particular step. And finally, the very last thing is, if you are posting content on a regular basis, you're a regular blogger and you publish a lot of content, then what you want to do is create you can call it whatever you want. I just like to call it kind of basic guidelines for You want to create basic guidelines for your publishers or content creators, so they know what your new image rules are all about. So this could be, you know, where you get your images from, because remember, and we're just going to be diving into this in the next video, but remember that we can't just rip images from anywhere and just slap them on our site, because that could be considered copyright infringement. So it is important that we get images that we are allowed to use. And if you are selling any of your products or services and you're using images in those, like an ebook or a regular book, or even like course material or things like that you're selling, we do need to be careful that we're only using images that can be reused for whatever it is that we're, you know, if we're reselling it, we have to be extremely careful that we are allowed to have reseller rights, or reuse rights, or commercial rights, where we're not going to get in trouble for having that image or any of those graphics in our content or material, because that could be a huge lawsuit that could just be devastating. And I don't want that to happen to you. I don't want it to happen to anyone. So that's why that it is a good idea to create basic rules and guidelines for anyone that's creating content on your behalf, so that they know exactly what they need to abide by to keep you safe, basically. I mean, that's about it. So create basic guidelines for your publishers or content creators so they know what your new image rules are. It's about as simple as it is, and I'm just going to save that for you guys so you can have it later. And that's your quick little, basically your 6-step process. These last two, you know, image audits will really only need to be conducted if you haven't been paying attention to your image optimization over time. So you may only need to do that once, and this should only need to be done once. So these are one-time things. I'll just put little stars beside them so you know those don't have to be done regularly. But everything else, you know, this process right here is what you're going to go through for every single image every time you insert one into a blog post. So it's really standard, very easy. Once you realize, you know, the breakdown of everything and why you need to do all this stuff, it becomes very easy and second nature. So, you know, that's kind of the whole point. If you're going to take the time to write a lengthy blog post, you got to have good images and graphics to go with it. It doesn't need to take you long. And in the next video, I'm going to show you how you can easily find images for reuse that are available for commercial reuse or whatever, that you can easily take and upload into your blog post with no problems. Okay, so in this video, let's get into the Exif data. Now, this is the one downside if you are going to be creating your own images from actual photographs. So in case you didn't already know, basically Exif data is that little piece of metadata that's captured and stored with every photo that you take. And if you didn't know that happens, well, now you know. Basically, that's also why sometimes image file sizes are pretty large, you know, a couple megabytes large, because it actually stores data inside in a little JPEG file, all this different data about your camera, about the camera settings, even sometimes, you know, the date, the time, sometimes the GPS coordinates even of where the image was taken. And that particular information is what we are most concerned with removing, because I'm not going to get into any terrible stories about this right now. There's no reason to, but I just want to put it out there that there have been terrible things that have happened because people didn't realize that they were sending out, when they were sending out photos or sharing photos with people, that they were unwittingly also letting a bunch of strangers know where they were in the world, where their children were in the world, all with this geolocation data. So that's hidden inside of photos, basically. So that's why it's so important to remove that Exif data, especially the geolocation data, because we don't want strangers knowing where we live, where we are. There's a lot of danger that can come with that, and so we want to just protect ourselves and we want to ensure safety. So that's why it's important to go ahead and remove those things. Now, if you guys want to learn more, I'm not going to dive into a bunch of stuff about Exif data because I'm just going to give you guys the link to this whole article that I've done on it. And so you guys can learn more about it and see how it all works and all that good stuff later on. But I am going to show you briefly how you can go about removing it and how to prevent it in your camera. So basically, if you are in Windows, so Windows makes this the easiest to do. You're simply going to find the photos or photos that you want to fix, and you're going to right click and you're going to select properties. And then to simply strip all the metadata from those photos, you're going to click remove properties and personal information at the very bottom down here. And if you'd like, you can also add any metadata that you'd like by clicking on details and then selecting the different values that you'd like inside of here. So Windows makes that super duper easy. And if you don't want to remove all the properties, then you simply check whatever ones you do want to remove and then leave all the rest. So now if you happen to be taking photos in an OS device or an OS X or something like that, then Image Optum, like we've talked about before, that works great for stripping out all of the metadata for those particular file types. So that makes that really easy. We've talked a little bit about that before, so I'm really not going to go into that much here. All you have to do is simply drag and drop all of the images that you wish to strip the metadata from, and then you're just going to pop them into Image Optum. It's going to go ahead and do its thing, and then afterwards you can see that there's no other metadata that's left except the very basics, like what the color model is and the depth and then the pixel height and width, and that's just about it. That's all that's there. So that's what we want. Now, how to go about turning off your geotagging inside of an Android or an ISO device. Basically, so if you're working with Android 4.4, like the KitKat software, then what you're going to do is you're simply going to open up your camera app and you're going to tap the round circle. It's going to be to the right of the shutter button, and then you're simply going to tap on the settings icon, and then you'll be in the settings menu, and then from there you're going to tap the location button, and you'll be able to tell that the geolocation is disabled because it'll have a little like slash through it. And if you're doing this for Android 5.0 Lollipop, then it makes it even easier because all you have to do is simply swipe right to expose all the options and then tap the settings gear right here, and that will pretty much just take you to the place where you just disable it. So that makes it really easy. If you're working in an ISO device, an iOS device, then and you're using like an app, then all you're going to do is you're going to come to the settings and you're going to go to save location and you're just going to turn that off. Now, it does make it a little unclear whether it's actually on or off, so you might want to check your owner's manual just to be sure before you start sharing a bunch of photos, because they don't really make it too easy to know whether something's activated or whether it's disabled. And if you're doing this straight from the device, then simply go into the settings and then tap on the privacy controls, and then that will bring you to where you can turn them off all at once, all of your geolocation captures, and then you're going to simply tap on the camera, and then you're going to make sure that never is selected right here where it says allow access. So now your camera will not record your GPS coordinates whenever you take a picture, which is pretty invasive. But again, now you know how to disable that so that you'll be protected for all of your future photos. And again, I know I may have gone over this fairly quickly, so I'm going to give you a URL to where you can come to this post and you can check this out at your leisure. Now, when it comes to XML sitemaps and creating that image sitemap for your site, most of what you need is already going to be taken care of, especially if you're using WordPress, because most of your images are probably going to be inside of your pages or your posts. Now, anything that's not inside there that you want indexed, you will have to create an XML sitemap just for that. So you can use a quick little tool like this one on angeldigital.marketing. And you would just simply go ahead, pop in your URL, and it'll create the image sitemap for you. Now, this is not the most thorough way to go about it. However, it does work. Another great tool that people like to use is Screaming Frog. I was actually going to do a demo for you guys. However, I had issues downloading the software twice. So I'm going to try it one more time. If I can get it within the next 24 hours, then it'll be included with this course. If I can't, then I will just leave a link for you guys in the resources of where you can go about doing that, and an instruction guide on how you can go about creating a image sitemap within Screaming Frog. They make it the easiest, and it's the most in-depth. So that's why a lot of people like to use Screaming Frog for that. Otherwise, you're simply just going to come here, pop in your URL. Now I might have to do HTTP. Click that, and now it's going to begin building our image sitemap for us to utilize. And we would simply then go to Google, submit that sitemap, and then everything will be indexed and up to date. So if you've been blogging for a while, or you've had a website up for a while, you probably have a few couple hundred photos, or even a couple thousand photos by now that are uploaded and on your website. So if you're at that point in time, then now would be a good time for you to move forward and actually do an image audit. Now, I'm not going to break down the process of doing an image audit because that could be separate for a whole nother course, but I am going to give you the instructions on how to do one when you get to that point, and the reasons of, some of the steps that you're going to go through to actually perform the audit. You're first going to be taking inventory of all the images that are on your site, and you're going to be doing this with the help of a software. You're going to be using Screaming Frog, so you're not going to be doing this manually. My goodness, you would be there for hours or maybe even days if you did all of this manually. So no worries, software will help you. Now, you're also going to be taking note of things like what the display size is versus the actual file size. And then you'll be breaking down things like, how, is it cropped for the proper usability or, maximum usability? Does it, is there a better image that could be used to convey the same message? Are your alt texts chosen, or, are they optimized properly? And all of those good things will come after you've taken inventory of everything, of all the images that are on your website. And then you can begin breaking those things down. And there's already been a wonderful blog post written of, a tutorial style on how you can go about doing an image audit. So I'm not going to be the one to break that down for you, but I just wanted to quickly give you an overview. Also, if you just see in the resources inside of this lecture, that will give you the instructions to go ahead and do an image audit for your own website. Okay, so now we're going to just be covering a few commonly asked questions. So first of all, I know a lot of people are going to ask this one, and I feel like I've covered it all enough already, but you know what? Let's just talk about it again, because I know a lot of bloggers out there and other people, they're like, oh, use original photos. And I totally agree. If you can use original photos, do it. If you have the time, do it. If you have the money, do it. However, if you can't, I totally understand that as well. So a lot of people are going to be wondering, is it okay to use stock photos? The short answer is yes, it is okay. Original photos and stock photos are treated the same when it comes to the search engine. So I just want to throw that out there. Outside of your About page, it is okay to use stock photos as long as they're high quality and aren't silly or outdated looking. Also, if I'm personally using stock photos, I try to always put them through some kind of a filter or do a little editing just to make them look, more like my own and give them my own unique style. But that's just me. I always typically like to use objects or scenery versus people, or maybe even just people's hands, if it's the computer or something, because images of people's face, especially stock photos, I don't know, it just tends to be a dead giveaway that it is a stock photo. So that's why I tend not to go down that road. But again, the main downside to using stock photos is that hundreds, if not thousands of people have already used them on their sites as well. So if you fill your pages and posts with stock photos, then technically you're not going to be looking that original. But that's, not to say that you can't make a stock photo look better, right? Just like I showed you in that previous video. You can take a stock photo and you can make it look different to suit your own styles and needs according to whatever your website is. Now, I have already given you a few tips already of how you could go about putting them through a filter or using BeFunky or PicMonkey or any of those. There's also, you could buy premium photos from places like Shutterstock or Getty Images. You can also use, other image editing tools like Canva or Pablo by Buffer, or even Easily or Visually. And I'm going to give you links to all of these different places so that you guys will have no more excuses to not having high quality, well optimized images on your website. Now, the one thing that I do want to cover is the copyrights, and I'm going to cover that in the next video. So stick with me and join me in the next video, and we'll be talking about copyrights. Okay, so in this very brief video, I'm just going to quickly show you how easy it is to take a stock photo and make it more unique and original for your own website. I'm going to be using the help of Canva, although PicMonkey and BeFunky also work well. So here's PicMonkey.com. And they do have a paid, actually now it might all be paid. I haven't been here for a while. It looks like now they just offer a free trial. But I did have the premium version for a while, and it works great. This was a really great software. Never had any issues with it. One of the best photo editing softwares out there. Another great one that is free is BeFunky.com. They have a lot of fun features, and even more fun features if you do get the paid version. But just for example, let's do a quick one together. This will be a totally free route to go. So let's just grab an image here. Let's just say we want this one. Good quality. We're simply going to copy, save image as, and instead of leaving that as is, I usually end up going ahead and optimizing the file name right now. So let's just say that blue lace dress. We'll just call it that. So we save that. We have our photo. Now we're going to come over here to BeFunky. We're going to upload the photo. And now we can do a number of different things with it. We could crop it, we could resize it. We could give it some extra exposure, lighten the image, darken the image. Could add contrast. Could take away contrast. So there's a lot that we can do. You know, we could add highlights, make it lighter, make it darker, add shadows, you know, add fill light. Fill light doesn't do a whole lot, but it does lighten the image typically. You can auto enhance it. That just ends up bringing out all the colors a little bit more. Now, I did notice that her hair, you can see as we zoom out that this photo has probably been retouched quite a bit, because you can see her hair looks pretty funky compared to the other portions of this image. When we scroll in, it looks more natural, but I think a lot of this stuff has been enhanced, because that's pretty much a dead giveaway. I don't like that. But anyways, that's just a little editor's note on the side. Okay, you know, you can go into Beautify and you can do different things with that. There's a lot of different features you can use. There's blurring, there's smoothing. You know, you can tilt the image. There's color mixers. You know, enhance the red in the image. Enhance the blue, whatever you want to do. Anywhere that you see where it says plus, that means that that feature is only for premium users. So if you're paying, then you can use those things. You can go out here. There's different touch-ups. You know, there's, you know, blemish fix is free. You could add blush if you wanted to. So these are different things. Fixing red eye, whitening teeth. There's different effects here. You know, there's lens flare, there's chromatic. So, you know, adding that makes it look a little bit older, more light. Oh, that's a premium feature. Okay, so those are all premium features down there, but they have a few free filters here that you can use. There's black and white. You know, take an image, make it black and white if you want. So there's tons of different things that you can do inside here, right? You guys seeing that? That's all I'm just trying to... You can add even text inside of BeFunky too. And there's not a ton of different texts to choose from. Canva is probably a little bit better of a tool for that if you want to add text to your photos. But I like BeFunky because it does allow you to resize your images or crop them. Canva makes that a little bit more difficult. In fact, I don't use Canva for resizing or cropping very often at all. I'll just pop it into here and then I'll go back and add my text wherever I want. So yeah, there's lots of different things that you can do here. For now, I'm just going to pretty much keep it as is, or you know what, we will add, let's add a filter to it. So let's quickly, you know, you got charcoal, all kinds of different things. Let's you know what? I'm going to stick with that first one that I had earlier, which is all the way up here, chromatic. Let's just go with that, just for now. So there we go. We got our image. It's different. It's, you know, we've put it through a filter. Let's go ahead and just add text just to show you guys. You can make it larger if we go like this. Now, I don't really like that font, so I'm going to go ahead and change the font. And I also don't like that it has an outline, so I'm going to get rid of that outline as well. So there we go. Okay, now I'm going to drag this to wherever I want to put it. Type in whatever you want. I'm just going to put something really generic. make that different color. So I'm going to come in here. I also would like to make it larger. So I'm going to do this, or I could come over here and I can make it larger that way as well. Now, I don't really like where this text is or the placement, but I'm just doing this to quickly show you guys as an example of how you could go about adding text or adding a filter quickly to a stock photo. So that's all that this is. We're not going into any design right now or anything like that. Don't judge me on my graphic design skills. This is just to quickly show you guys how you could go and take a stock photo and make it unique and different. So here we go. Now we have our unique image. We can save it to our computer. You can save it as a JPEG or a PNG. I do recommend JPEG though, so that way the image size is reduced. And now we're just going to simply save it, and you can go ahead and make sure that it's saved the appropriate file name that you would like. I'm going to go ahead and save it as is. And now there we go. And we have taken a generic stock photo and we've made it a little bit different for our own uses. Okay, my other tip was that you want to be careful if you are taking images with an iPhone and you're uploading those images to WordPress. Sometimes there is a bug that can become very annoying. So when you take a picture and you upload it to your WordPress site, something can happen where, especially if you take in the photo in portrait mode, when you upload it and you publish your article, sometimes once it's live, it'll switch over and it'll appear in landscape mode. I don't know why this happens. It doesn't happen for everyone. It seems to depend on the generation of your iPhone and your WordPress template. So there's something that can sometimes get a little buggy with the coding. However, you can avoid this by taking photos in landscape mode with the volume button facing down, or there's also various fixes available in a particular forum, which I'm going to give you guys the link to in the resources. So if you do happen to come across that issue, you will know exactly how to fix it. Okay, so copyright infringement has definitely become a hot issue over the last few years. So I have to make a note of this as my due diligence to you. No matter where you find your images, make sure that you're not infringing a copyright. Even if you get your images from a free stock photo site, be sure to double check that the usage rights are okay and that you can use them for whatever you need to. And make sure that you know whether you have to give attribution to the photograph or to the photographer or not. And that step is even more important if you plan on using your images in any type of content that you plan to sell. That's very important as well. So if Shutterstock or Getty Images or Deposit Files or some other big stock photo provider happens to own an image that you're using and you don't have a license for it, then you could be risking a lawsuit, and it's just not worth it. So that's why I'm just quickly covering this with you guys. Again, if you go ahead and you can, there's tons and tons of free stock photo sites where you don't have to give attribution. You can use them any way you want. So there's really no need to be worried about any of these things. Now, if you do happen to, use someone else's photo and, you keep using them, you could be in violation of the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, or the DMCA, which could be issued, and then you could be issued a notice if you violate any copyright. So for example, if an owner of a piece of content, like any content, not just images, sees their content on your website, they could report you, and then you could be issued a DMCA DMCA takedown, where basically you're forced to remove that content, and you're probably going to have to go to court if it keeps showing up. So no thank you, right? No one wants to go through that. That's a big headache that you want to avoid. So there's really no worries though, because like I said, there's tons of free stock photo sites out there where you can get completely free images that you can use for whatever you want. I'm going to give you guys a list, so there's no worries. And you can also use Google Images, which allows you to filter based on what's available for reuse. Now, that's not always going to be the best quality images, but it could give you a place to start, especially if you need an image that's really quick right off the bat. Now, you also probably want to double check the usage rights on those images as well, just to be better safe than sorry, because I do know I've used that method personally to go, I've gone into Google Images, I've searched by reusage, but then I've gone into the actual image and it says that I either have to give attribution to the photographer, or sometimes it even says that there are usage rights, like I can't use it with commercial content or things like that. So always just double check. The only times where you don't really need to double check is if you're on a stock photo site that says no attribution required. Then you're pretty much good to go. And those are my favorite stock photo sites, just like the ones I showed you here in this course. Those all require no attribution, so they're totally free and you can use them pretty much however you desire. But if you are planning on selling that content, make sure that you double check that, because I don't want you guys to get into any hot water at all. So always double check about the copyrights and the usage rights, just so you're better off safe than sorry. So while we're on the topic of copyright infringement, I just wanted to give you guys a few tips to help you best protect your images from getting stolen. And because images are so often copied by users, especially, in Google image search, it's easy to do. I'm even doing it right now, although I'm not really, infringing on anything. You guys can see exactly where this image came from, and I'm not using it in any text or print or anything like that. But, Google uses many different signals to identify the original source of the image, and you can help them by providing them with as much information as you can, and optimizing helps them do that. So the information that you give about an image will tell them about its content and the subject matter. And webmasters often get concerned about, the unauthorized use of their images. And if you prevent users from using your images on your site or linking to your images, you can actually prevent people from using your bandwidth, but you may also be limiting the potential audience that your images have, and that reduces their discoverability in the search engine. So, if you limit people from even clicking on your images, that is actually reducing the engagement rate with them. So in a way, Google doesn't really mind if people, borrow your photos or they copy your photos. But what does matter is if they're giving attribution to the photographer and the original source. And that's really where the infringement part would come. So one solution is to allow other people to use your images, but to require an attribution or a link back to your own site. And there are several ways that you can do this. For example, you could make your images available under a license that requires attribution, such as, a Creative Commons license or something like that. And that's what a lot of photographers do. Also, you could provide an HTML snippet that other people can use to embed your image on their site with an attribution link. And that snippet can both include the link to the image and to the source on the page, or, to the actual original source on your website. So that can work as well. And similarly, some people will add copyright text or watermarks or other information to their images depending on, how much time they spent creating that image. And this kind of information won't impact the image's performance in the search engines, and it also helps photographers claim credit for their work and deter unknown usage. However, if such features as watermarks reduces the user perceived quality, like if it hinders people from interacting with that image or even the image's thumbnail, then users may actually click on that image less. So if you are going to use something like a watermark, you want it to be very unassuming. You maybe put it in the corner or someplace where it's there, but it's not so obstructive that you're going to reduce your click-through rates. And also, just as a note, if you don't want search engines to crawl and index your images, if there's particular images that you don't want them to index, then use a robots text file to block access to those particular images. And occasionally you may have found someone that took an image of yours from your site, and they're using it without proper credit. You can always do an automated reverse search, using Google image search to the reverse image use reverse image search to find out where that image is being used at online. You could also use a search tool known as Image Rater, and that will help show you other sources of where your image is being used online. And you would simply just add your images to the catalog, and then it will alert you anytime that another site uses your image. And if that site hasn't given you proper credit, then you can just get in touch with them and ask them to do so. But, don't be a jerk about it, because most of the time, a lot of these things are just done accidentally. People don't always know that they were supposed to give attribution or even where the original image came from, especially if they're using Google to find their images. So don't be a jerk. Just go, hey, I saw that you were using my image on your website. I would just really appreciate it if you gave some attribution. Otherwise, I ask that you remove it and replace the image, right? That's very simple, very easy. That doesn't require a lot, and there's no reason to get upset. So those are just some tips to help you keep your images your own, and to make the most of your assets while staying safe and doing your best to keep your own intellectual property and your copyrights your own. So that's it in about a nutshell. I don't really have too much else that I want to say about that. So if you do have any questions, you can always contact me at any time, and I'll get back to you as soon as I possibly can.